possible, and Chava did not know what to do. Then she read a story that gave her hope. The Brisker Rav once ruled against a wealthy man in his town. The outraged man hired 2 Jewish criminals to ambush the Rav as he traveled on a trip out of the city. They accosted the Rav's wagon, waving guns and threatening to shoot. The Rav's gabbai looked on in horror, but strangely, the Rav simply peered at the 2 men, saying something quietly to himself. Soon the men put down their weapons and begged forgiveness, which the Rav gladly gave. He spoke with them, encouraging them to do tshuva, and went on his way. When the gabbai asked the Rav how he managed to turn the tide, the Rav answered with the pasuk, "As water reflects a face back to a face, one's heart is reflected back to him by the other." He knew if he looked with favor on these 2 men, searching for and focusing on the good qualities that the other human being possessed, then his favor would be matched with theirs. Chava decided to apply this lesson to her situation. She mustered her emotional strength and replaced her annoyance with warmth. Mrs. Cohen was perhaps a woman who craved a sense of closeness. So she asked personal questions and wanted to be included in everything. She was a loving mother, a wonderful housekeeper, and a highly intelligent person as well. Chava worked hard to keep her mind on the right track, and little by little, the dynamics of the relationship began to shift. "Today we're close friends," said Chava. It's amazing how true that pasuk is. I try to suggest this idea to anyone who's having trouble with someone in her life. Perfect timing. Thank you.
Thank you. And that's a beautiful message. Thank you so much. And now, thank you everybody for your patience. Now it is really a very big privilege and great pleasure to introduce the wonderful Shoshi Nissenbaum, who has spoken with us before, and we're so grateful, Shoshi, that you're here again. Hashem has gifted Shoshi Nissenbaum with the zechut to teach Torah to women for over 25 years. Her shiurim are available online. I know right now we've had the privilege of seeing some of the things that she's spoken about, the Sefiras HaOmer. Her shiurim are available online. Hundreds of women participate in her Sefiras HaOmer count, and in pre-corona days, her trips to Kivrei Tzadikim. Shoshi teaches in Israeli and American seminaries and is a professional mediator and To'enet Rabbanit. She lives in Ramat Beit Shemesh. Shoshi, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Good morning. Always a pleasure.
Shoshi,
Yes.
Shoshi, I just want to add, Shoshi on May 15th on Pesach Sheni is doing a trip to Kivrei Tzadikim in Eretz Yisrael. And I will post the flyer on the chat group for anybody in Israel who wants to join.
Ezrat Hashem, it's Pesach Sheni, and it's the Yortzeit of Rabbi Meir Balanez, Rabbi Yehuda Bar Ilai, and Rabbi Elazar Ben Arach. And that's going to be Bezrat Hashem, our trip, and then we'll add in, it's the week of Lag BaOmer. So of course we'll try. If they'll let us in, we'll go to Meron, Bezrat Hashem also. And anyone who wants to sponsor from Chutz La'aretz, I already had a few women who offered to sponsor from Chutz La'aretz, and some women who couldn't afford the trip are going to Bezrat Hashem go, and they'll be happy to daven for you. Okay, so speak a little bit about Chodesh Iyar. I was debating, should I speak about the parsha? And then I realized if I speak about the parsha, I'm speaking about Emor. And I think most of the people on the group are from America, and your parsha is Kedoshim, which makes it easier for me because I can speak about what I spoke about last week. But so we'll bring in a little bit Kedoshim, a little bit Emor. We'll bridge between the parashiyot Bezrat Hashem. But in general, I'd like to talk about Chodesh Iyar and Sefiras HaOmer. Chodesh Iyar is called in the Torah the Chodesh Hasheni. It's the second month, and it also is one of the few months which the Torah gives us a name for the month. What we call the months Nisan, Iyar, Sivan, Tammuz, Av, Elul, etc. Those are the names which Klal Yisrael gave them. They're Persian names. They have meaning to them, but they are Persian names. So the Torah gives us a few months. For example, Tishrei we know is Yerach HaEtanim, the month of the strong ones. Cheshvan is called Chodesh Bul. It's the month of the Mabul. Okay, so therefore it's called Chodesh Bul, of the great flood. And the third, the only from the 12 months, the only other month which the Torah gives us a name for is Chodesh Iyar, which is called Ziv. Ziv means radiance. And the Gemara of Rosh Hashanah tells us that it is because this is the month of the radiant ones. Who are the radiant ones? Are Avos, Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov. Now, it doesn't mean that they were born in Iyar, because they were either born, the Avos were either born in Tishrei or Nisan. That's a different machlokes in Maseches Rosh Hashanah that we won't get into now. But if we look at the name Iyar, Iyar is Rashi Teos for Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Reish, Rachel, which these are, the Gemara in Maseches Chagiga tells us, the Avos and Rachel Imenu, Hein Hamerkava, they are the chariot of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Now, we don't know what that means. What does it mean, the chariot of HaKadosh Baruch Hu? That's a very lofty concept, mystical, Kabbalistic concept. But what we can understand is that Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Rachel, which spells out the Rashi tables of Iyar, which are the Ziv, these are the radiant ones, as the Gemara calls them in Maseches Rosh Hashanah. These, we know that Maaseh Avos Siman Lebanim, everything our forefathers did is a sign for the children. What does that mean? That means just like our forefathers explored, discovered, they lived up to their potential. When we bless our daughters, Yisimech Elokim, Kesara, Rivka, Rachel, Leah, what does that mean, right? We want them to be carbon copies of Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah? No, right? We never want anyone to be a carbon copy of anybody else. Spirituality and our relationship with our Kadosh Baruch Hu can't be cut and paste. It's a unique individual thing. But just like Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah reached their potential, fulfilled their own unique mission. They each were very different than the next. They each paved a new path in Avodas Hashem. They discovered a different way to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. They brought that light to the world, radiated to the world. That's why the Avos are called the radiant ones, because they radiated their Kedusha to the entire world. They were a shining example, literally, of how one can connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu in their own unique way. Avram brought down the light of Chesed. Yitzchak brings down the light of Gevura. Yaakov Avinu brings down the light of Tiferes. And so too the Imahos, each one of them brought in a different midah and shined, radiated, illuminated the world with their own midah and their own unique way. And this is the mitzvah of what we're doing in Chodesh Iyar. In Chodesh Iyar, we have the mitzvah of Usfartem lachem mimachras haShabbos miyom haviyachenes omer hatnufa sheva shabbosos tnimos tiena and mimachras haShabbos hashvi'i tisperu chamishim yom. Every day we're counting. But what does the pasuk tell us? The pasuk tells us Usfartem lachem, count for yourselves. So halachically, what does that mean, count for yourselves? Halachically, that means that every person has to count for themselves. If you're in shul, or you're in a minyan, or it doesn't matter, you're with other people and they're counting and they counted, but if you didn't count, right, you wouldn't yotzei the mitzvah. You have to count, right? The Chazan will say, Hayom Yom, Shva'asrei Yomim La'omer, but if you didn't say it yourself with your own mouth, you weren't yotzei the mitzvah. That's the technical thing. Reb Nosson min Nimerov says something incredible. Reb Nosson was Rabbi Nachman's prime disciple. And he said, Usfartem lachem. What does the word usfartem mean? Usfartem means you should count, but it also means sipur, from Lashon story, okay? And it also is from Lashon sapir, from a sapphire. We'll get to this incredible Or Chaim shortly, who explains that Lashon. So the Reb Nosson says, Usfartem lachem, this Sfiras HaOmer, what are you doing when you're counting? You're not just counting, but you're telling your own story. You're going into yourself and you are creating your own narrative, and you are living. You are actually living and recognizing that your narrative counts, and that only when you shine your own light, your own unique individual light, when you tell that story, when you're present, not living vicariously, not measuring yourself up to other people, but you're in yourself, and from your inner self, telling your own story, being with yourself and radiating out, that is usfartem lachem. That's how we can prepare ourselves to receive the Torah. Because receiving the Torah means that I am receiving. We say every day, multiple times a day, V'sein chelkeinu b'soirasecha. Hashem, give us our portion in your Torah, because each person has a unique part of the Torah. Each of us has a unique part to reveal. Now we might say, what does that mean? Right? So I want to give you an example of what this means. Many years ago, I mean, we're talking, I think my first year of teaching that I taught, which was 27 years ago in Cincinnati, in a high school in Cincinnati. And there was a girl who asked a shaila, who asked a question. Her question was, she asked one of the rabbis one day, is whistling considered kol isha? Is a woman whistling the same thing as a woman singing? And would that qualify as kol isha? Would that be the voice of a woman, which for a man who is not a relative is not allowed to hear? So it was a great question. Honestly, I don't remember the answer, but the rabbi didn't know the answer. And he wrote, remember writing letters? He wrote a letter to his rabbi, and in his rabbi's next volume of Shut, of Shailot V'Tshuvot, that question and answer was published. Now, that is V'sein chelkeinu b'sorasecha. Here comes a girl, right? A 14-year-old girl, 15-year-old, I don't remember how old she was, right? Asked a question from her sincerity, and she brought down Torah into the world. She brought down a revelation of Hashem's Torah into the world. When we ask a question, right, we don't always have to have the answer. Just by asking the question, we are being the impetus to bring in Torah into the world. By sharing a thought, one of our unique thought that we have. You know, a person that we read in Pirkei Avos. We read this, I don't know if we're on the same parak in America either on Pirkei Avos. We read Parak Bet on Shabbos. I think you read Parak Aleph, right? Okay. We're going to have to balance out somehow. But in Parak Bet, we read Al Ta'as Tfilas Chokva. Don't make your tefillah fixed. What does it mean not to make your tefillah fixed? It means that a person is supposed to put their own self into the kavanah of tefillah. When I say Mizmor L'Soda, and when Rebbetzin Yagod says Mizmor L'Soda, and also I love the way the other lady said, I don't remember her name. I'm sorry, I have it in my head the way that you say the Mizmor L'Soda, and I love it. It inspires me all the time. But when I'm saying Mizmor L'Soda, and when you're saying Mizmor L'Soda, we're each thinking of something else. We're each thinking of our unique parshanut, our unique explanation of what today for me right now, this second, what am I feeling? What am I experiencing? What is my chavaya of soida now, of appreciation to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? That makes it unique. And in fact, the Arizal says that the mahus, the essence, the pu'ula, the activity of the month of Iyar, the tikkun is in machshava, is in thought, herefore, that we're supposed, and the most unique place which we are supposed to be is our thoughts. And this is actually a very similar teaching to what Reb Nosson says on the pasuk Lech Lecha me'artzecha u'mimoladetcha u'mibeis avicha el haaretz asher areka. Lech Lecha, go inside yourself. Where does your journey of self-understanding start? Within yourself. Move away me'artzecha mimoladetcha u'mibeis avicha. If we had to translate that, transpose that pasuk into 2022, move away from Instagram, move away from all social media, move away from all advertisements of what you're supposed to be, what you're supposed to look like, what you're supposed to think, what you're supposed to wear, what it means to be a good mother, what it means to be a good, I don't know, whatever, a good balabasta, all the things of what it means. Move away from that and go inside yourself. Because that's, as Rashi says there, lech lecha, that's lahanoscha lutovscha. Going inside yourself and stop measuring ourselves to somebody else. But as Reb Nosson says in the pasuk, usfartem lachem, count. It's your inner count. It's your count. Don't count what somebody else is doing. Count inside yourself. This is not a comparison. Spirituality, attaining mitzvahs, is not a competitive sport. It's also not a passive sport where we just watch. Each person is doing it you on your own. It's not how much I have vis-a-vis somebody else. It's me within myself, within my nitzunim, with what HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave me, with the challenges HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave me, with the personality HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave me. And in fact, the Zohar HaKadosh says that when HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes a neshama outside from the kingdom, good morning. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes a neshama from the Kisei HaKavod and wants to send it into the world, the neshama doesn't want to go, right? We all know Mordechai ben David's famous song, right? That the neshama doesn't want to come into the world. And it says, no, I'm not going, right? We think that people start becoming, rebellious when they're teenagers. No, before we were born, right? And our children, before they were born, when Hashem wanted to send their soul into the world, they said no, right? So what we think, we're going to tell them what to do and they're going to listen? So HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells the neshama, lech lecha, go. And go inside yourself, because why doesn't the neshama want to come in the world? Because it thinks it's going to be tempted by the Yetzer Hara. It won't be able to overcome its challenges. It sees its mission, right? Before we came into it, we saw our mission and we said, me? I can't do that. And what does HaKadosh Baruch Hu say? Lech lecha. If you're going to go into the world and you're going to stay within yourself, and you're not going to be comparing yourself to everybody else, but you're going to be your own person and shine your own light. Move away from me. Don't pay attention, right? As we said, to anything. Don't pay attention to all that stuff. You're going to be a great person. And then the neshama says, but I can't see it. Show me. Can you show me a preview, right? Give me a spoiler now of what it's going to look like when I go into the world so that I could go in with confidence. And what does HaKadosh Baruch Hu say? Areka, I'll show you. Boom, there you go, into the world. And you'll see what a great person you can become as long as you stay true to your authentic self. And so Reb Nassim teaches us, Usfartem lachem, in this month of Iyar, this is what it means to shine our light. Rabbi Shimon, whose yortzeit is Lag BaOmer, who taught us the Zohar. What is Zohar? Also a lashon of light. And it was on the day of Lag BaOmer, Yudchet Chai Iyar, the 18th day of Iyar, where HaKadosh Baruch Hu made a miracle of Vayidom HaShemesh. The sun did not set until Rabbi Shimon finished radiating the Zohar, teaching, bringing down the light of the hidden mystical Torah, which is HaKadosh Baruch Hu's endless, unconditional love for Klal Yisrael. That is what the Zohar is all about. Until Rabbi Shimon didn't, and that's where we have the minhag to make bonfires, because there was extra light on that day of Lag BaOmer. And to remind us that this is the month of Iyar. This is the month where we radiate our souls. And the zodiac of Iyar is the shore. The shore is the hard-working animal. This is hard work. The hardest thing that we do is to really be ourselves and to radiate our uniqueness. It takes courage. It's a risk. You have to be brave, right? Because we might share an idea. We might share, when I was davening yesterday, or when I just thought of this thought, and then somebody could look at us like, really? You fell off the deep end, or like, I don't know, you're kind of getting weird on me, or whatever they're going to say about us, right? And we have to stay true, but that's how I feel about that pasuk, right? That pasuk means that to me. And we'll be surprised that when we're really, again, we're not going to proselytize the whole world. Everyone, this is what you have to say. This is what you have to think. It's for ourselves. But when we share that with somebody who deserves to hear it, then we are really radiating our light. And I want to share with you from the Or HaChaim, who tells us that this is the ultimate preparation for Matan Torah. The Or HaChaim says, for Israelis, it's our parsha this week, and so you're having a sneak preview, Americans, into next week's parsha. Parsha's Emor. The Or HaChaim says, Neshamos am b'nei Yisrael heim bebechinas haluchos. The souls of Klal Yisrael are an aspect of the tablets. Ube'emtzos tachlu'e hanefesh v'tumas hati'uv itlachlechu v'yachshich oyram. And because of our spiritual illnesses and the impurity, we have dirtied and darkened the light of the luchos. Remember the luchos, the first luchos were emanating light. That's what they were. Okay. Ki haluchos shel snapirinun hayu. The luchos were of sapphire. Lazeh amar usvartem lachem. And it was about regarding this that we have the commandment. Count for yourself. Usvartem, lashon of snapirinun, right? Sapir, sapphire. Perish be'emtzaut minyan ze atem mi'irim kisan pirinun es atzmechem. Through counting, through realizing how much we count, how much our contributions count, what it means that I say, Hayoim Rishon LaOmer, today is the first day of the Omer, today is the second, even if you can't count with the bracha right now, just by counting and saying the day, you clean and reignite the luchos. You bring back the shine to the tablets. That's incredible. And that's from the Or Chaim, Perek Vayikra, Perek Chav Gimel, Pasuk Tezvav. Additionally, the Yisoid B'Shoirish HaAvoda in Shar Tes tells us, Mitzvah Sfiras HaOmer Hu Tikun Gadol V'Nifla L'Tar Es Nefasho Shenivgema Ba'avoneseinu Rachman Litzlan. Sfiras HaOmer is an amazing, awesome rectification to purify all that we have made impure. That's why we have that tefillah after Sfiras HaOmer, where we say Hashem l'ta'areinu mikol pigam nafshenu. It's a purification process. And then he goes on to explain, and we don't understand how this tikkun happens. This is way, excuse me, this is way above our human intellect to understand what it means that I say today is day 1, today is day 17, and now I fix things. We don't understand what that means. This is the Yisoid V'Shorish HaAvoda saying this. But he says it's exactly that. The fact that we don't understand it, but we know that somehow I don't understand how I matter in this world. I don't understand how my contribution makes a difference. But I know that just by doing what the Boire, what HaKadosh Baruch Hu asked me to do, that is how I count. By being me, that is how I count. Miloshan sapir hami'ir, from the glowing sapphire. The hainu sheta'ir kedusha seichem. Illuminate, radiate your holiness. V'tashpiu or v'shefer lamala ba'olamas elyonin. And this, the Noam Elimelech tells us, this generates light in the upper world. When I recognize that I'm here to do a mission that only I can do, when I'm true to myself, when I realize that I count, and therefore I count, and I radiate, and I illuminate, and I bring light into the world, this is this awesome tikkun. So I just want to conclude with something from Rav Moshe Shapiro Zatzal, who discusses how in his, I don't know if any of you have these are very hard to come by. They're very old, and you used to have to order them by mail. I don't know how you get them, but anymore. But these very, very nice booklet summary of Rav Moshe Shapiro Zatzal's amazing Torah. And he says something so beautiful here. What transitions us from the Exodus to the giving of the Torah is not a passageway, but a revelation. The giving of the Torah clarifies the Exodus as the revelation of Torah. I am God, your Lord, who has delivered you from the land of Egypt. This means that what was revealed at the Exodus was the reality of Torah, which is true reality. For one who understands what emerges from that is that ear must spell the acrostic of Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Rachel, who are the mystery of the Holy Chariot. This month is what brings us from the Exodus to the giving of the Torah. Through this month, we arrive at the perception that the Exodus is in itself the revelation of the Torah, and the revelation of the Torah is the revelation that is the foundation of the entire Torah. In other words, what he's saying is that Sfiras HaOmer is not a sojourn, it's not a passageway, it's revelation. It's each day is revealing another aspect, that all our matters and happenings are entirely Torah. everything is Torah. Everything we do is rooted in Torah. It is anticipated that one who wishes to understand the salient points can do so through our discussion with, that's another, you have to read the whole booklet to understand that. So we'll leave it at that. So Hashem should help us that Be'ezrat Hashem, we should all be zocheh to tell our own stories, to develop our own narrative based on our inner selves or authentic selves and our deep, unique connection to Hashem Yisbarach, and shine and radiate that light to the entire world. Everyone should have a great week of Chodesh Tov Mevorach, lots of Siyata D'Shmaya and lots of Or. I'd love it, whoever's in Israel, if you could join us on Pesach Sheni, and whoever's not, you can join us through sending somebody else. Be'ezras Hashem, maybe you'll all be here with the coming of Mashiach. We won't have Kivrei Tzadikim to visit though, only live Tzadikim.
Wow, Shoshi, thank you so much for your beautiful Torah, which you give over so passionately and with such good humor. And please let us know how people can join and also have, can contribute. I guess Nomi will send us that information. Thank you for the beautiful message this morning about how each of us can count and feel ourselves that we count and that we can radiate light. And I'm wondering if you have a couple of minutes for any questions.
I have a question. If
Sure, yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. So first of all, thank you so much. So much. I love you.
So welcome.
I love when you teach. It's so clear. It's so enlightening. Rebbetzin, I wanted to know. So when you mentioned the spheros of the Avos, I was curious what the imahos are. They connected a certain sphere, or their midos or something a little bit entirely different, or
their midos are the other four, right? There's Chesed, Gvura, Tiferes, and then there's Netzach, Hod, Yesod, and Malchus. Rachel Imenu is Malchus, Leah is Yesod, Rivka is Hod, and Sarah is Netzach. I saw that in I cannot remember what sefer I saw that in. I have a chumash that has all the perushim of the Noam Elimelech, the Avodas Yisrael, the Me'or V'Shemesh, with Yaakov Yosef that told us Yaakov. I know I saw it in that chumash, but I can't remember who said it.
That's so
I can't remember who said it.
What chumash is that? What
it's a Chumash Me'orei HaChasidus. It's with all the perushim of all the different Hasidic masters, and one of them explained once the midos of the imahos, and I cannot remember where I saw it.
Thank you so much.
I'll believe that or try to. I don't know. I don't think I could even look for it right now, but I could try to do a search for it. Not right now though. If you remind me, like in another week or two, I'll try to find it.
That's great. I would just have assumed. Yeah, go ahead.
There's another idea that Avram is Chesed, Sarah is Gvura. Yitzchak is Gvura, Rivka is Chesed. Yaakov is Tiferes, Rachel and Leah, one is Chesed, one is Gvura. In other words, all the Avos and Imos, it was all balanced. And that's why Yaakov Avinu needed two wives, because Tiferes is a balance between Chesed and Gvura, which is a new color altogether, a new midah altogether. I can't hear you.
Thank you. No, that almost makes a little more, not that something makes more sense over another, but you would think that, I like the second one. That makes good sense.
I think that Rabbi Ginsburg, I think he has a lot of teachings about this. I know I've read a lot of teachings of his on Rachel Imenu being Malchus. He has a very, very beautiful teaching about Rachel and Malchus. So it could be that you could find on his website, which I don't remember what it's called, but if you do a search for Yitzchak Ginsburg, I believe that he has, people are asking me to repeat something, but I'm not sure what they want me to repeat.
I have a question. Hello.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Kate.
I have a question. Can I ask a question?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so I have not a question. I want to share something, because every day I do, Sarah Yudit Schneider has meditation for every day of Surat HaOmer. It comes in a beautiful art piece work. Somebody gave it to me as a gift years ago. And today is energy of Tiferet Shebetiferet. Today is Tiferet. So she wrote, and I'm quoting, to cultivate a love for human beings, one must feel compassion and empathy for each person's situation. And this is only possible if she trains herself to see the beauty in each soul and each life. Beauty is the perfect harmonization of all other midot. Only when there is a beauty and peace within can one enjoy the beauty and peace without. This is the beauty that is within beauty. Tiferet Shebetiferet. So it's like you say, you go inside yourself, you have to tell your own story, you have to see yourself before you're even able to go to the world out there. Very, very balancing.
That was, thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Okay. My pleasure. Thank you for your beautiful lectures. I love your lectures, your energy is beautiful.
Okay. So just to repeat, the imahos are either Avram is chesed, Sarah is gvura, right? Avram wants to do, always is doing chesed, and Sarah says, no, Garesha Sa'ama Hazeh, send out Hagar, send out her son, even when Yishmael has a fever, she makes the boundaries. Yitzchak would be gvura, and Rivka would be chesed, okay? Yaakov is Tiferes, and Rachel and Leah are chesed and gvura. I think Rachel would be chesed and Leah would be gvura, but I'm not sure. Or I saw a different idea, and that is that Sarah would be Netzach, Rivka Hod, Leah Yisoid, and Rachel Malchus. And for more information on the second parish, you can look at Rav Yitzchak Ginsburg's teachings. I know he talks extensively about Rachel being Malchus, and I'm pretty sure he also talks about the other Emos as well. Okay.
Thank you.
Could
you just say it was Leah Malchus? And
no, Rachel is Malchus.
Rachel is Malchus.
Rachel is Malchus.
And Leah is?
Leah with Yisod.
Yisod. Thank you. That's what I really wanted. Thank you. That was so beautiful. You know what it made me think of is something like very cool that when you were talking about shining your own light and realizing how important that is, I always think of like this gigantic jigsaw puzzle. In a puzzle, like the corner pieces are important, the middle pieces are important. I just talked about this. But every piece has its out, its turns and everything else. Each piece is unique, and yet they all have to interface. And without even one piece in a puzzle, you just don't have shleimus. It doesn't work. I once did it. I had a 500-piece puzzle. I missed one piece until the day when I found that piece and popped it in. It was just not complete. And like when we look at the geula like that, every single is so important. And it was a beautiful shir, beautiful. I'm coming to Eretz Yisrael Mish next week. I hope maybe I could join you. That would be awesome.
Girl, that's not fair. I'm coming right with you.
Oh, I have room in my suitcase. I'll pay extra bag.
Pay extra baggage.
Oh, excellent.
Bezrat Hashem. Okay, everyone should have a chodesh tov u'mevorach.
Just one small comment. It's interesting that Rachel is Malchut because David HaMelech comes from Leah.
Nachon.
So that's kind of interesting.
Nachon. That is interesting. It's interesting also because Yesod is the midah of Yosef, who comes from Rachel, right? So you would think that what you're saying is actually makes. Wait a second. Yesod should be Rachel and Malchus should be Leah. But it actually is not. And it's a whole nother idea. Maybe another time we can talk about it. Maybe if Naomi wants, maybe next week or the week after, we could have a shir on the Emos and the Spheros. But don't forget also that Yosef is actually really Leah's son, right? The fetuses were switched, Dinah and Yosef. Now, in terms of Rachel being Malchus, Rachel is the one who actually encompasses everything. Malchus is everything. Malchus is Shabbos. Malchus is Chesed, Gvura, Tiferes, right? Malchus is everything. Netzach, Hod, it's like the bottom of the ladder, which holds everything up. And that's Rachel Imenu. She's on the Merkava, right? Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Rachel. She's the one who rounds everything up, who keeps everything in its right place. And she's really was supposed to be the Akeres Bayis, right? The primary wife of Yaakov Avinu. She brought Leah in. So the Malchus, right? The complete acceptance of Hashem's will, the Tzimtzum Ishi, of a person condensing themselves to make room for somebody else, which is what Malchus is, that's Rachel Imenu. Even though, by the way, you're right, because Leah also does it too. But Leah is more of learning from Rachel, and then Leah also is Mevater. It's a different level of Atranas.
Could it be that the message? I was wondering.
Fascinating.
Could it be that
Amazing thing.
is it possible the message here is that that we should shine our own light. It's not about what your children, what they became, or the malchus, that doesn't go on David HaMelech. It goes on themselves. It's your own personal light.
Yeah, fair. That's a very good combination of two different points. Very, very nice. The name of the Chumash, it's called, you know what? Message me privately and I'll take a picture of it. I can't remember what it's called. I think Me'orei HaChasidus, I think. But if you message me privately, I'll remember to take a picture of it. And then you'll have it. And also where to get it from.
Okay.
All right. Have a wonderful day, everyone.
Thank you again, Shoshi. We loved having you with us.
Okay.
It was
I
such
love joining you.
Thrill. Thank you. We hope you'll come back soon. Everybody have a beautiful day. Radiate your light out there. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have
Thank
a good
you.
Chodesh.
Great
and,
share.
beautiful.
Chodesh Tov.
Thank you.
Nice hosting also, Yehudas. Did she get off already? Aw, she was so cute. Okay, bye everyone.
Hello?